So today, the Toronto Maple Leafs have signed, it's right there, Connor Brown to 3 years, $2.1 million a year. Now they're over the cap by about $5 million. It's a lot, right? $5 million over the cap. Now, Leafs fans are going to say, it's okay. Nathan Horton, Joffrey Lupul, they both go on LTIR at the start of the year, and they're right. But, let me go ahead and show people what I'm drinking. It's not pop. Just lobbing a warning shot out there. And just to show that if I'm goofy in a video, it has nothing to do with me drinking alcohol. It's just because I'm goofy. I'm naturally goofy. You can ask the lady sitting over there.
Oh, he's naturally...
I can be completely normal when I've been drinking and completely weird when I haven't been. And I've done that lately. I've fooled some people in videos. If it wasn't for the fact that I couldn't spell parody right the other night, nobody would have picked up that I was a little bit drunk. I'm celebrating things.
Drink very much.
No, but even still, I never drink very much.
No, that's very
I never have more than one drink. So, the sober hockey guy points out here, Nathan Horton, Joffrey Lupul, they're both coming off the cap, about $10 million. The Leafs are currently 4.9 over, so that leaves them about $5 million in cap space when the season starts. This isn't significant yet. But what Lou Lamoriello did today, which is brilliant, is he's got Connor Brown now in 3 years at a very reasonable cap hit of $2 million. That is extremely reasonable. There's some risk. I mean, he scored 20 goals last year and he looks solid, but again, when you're looking at a body of work and it's not very big, the risk of a guy possibly slipping back is there. Now, if the Leafs aren't expecting 20 goals a year, and if they're fine with them being bottom six and not, that's fine. What this does is it allows them a little bit of space. They don't have to worry about Matthews for 2 years. They don't have to worry about Marner for 2 years. They do have Nylander coming up. Now, here's the interesting thing. I expect both Horton and Lupul to get moved this year. I'm not sure where. I don't know what they give up to get rid of them. My expectation is that this $10 million gets taken off. Yes, it goes on LTIR, but it still counts during the offseason, and you can only be a certain amount over the cap. And starting next summer, unless they trade Nylander, which would be crazy, they're probably going to be playing close to the salary cap. And people are going to say, well, there's other guys with expiring contracts. The Leafs right now are a contender. And I'll let that sink in. The Leafs, unless there's some kind of a disaster with all their players going into their second year this year, the Maple Leafs are a contender. They will be up at or near the salary cap from this season into next and the next and the next. I expect Horton and Lupul to get moved. I expect this dead cap space to go somewhere, whether it's Arizona or Carolina or where it ends up. I expect it to get moved. The Connor Brown signing is great. It's not an overpayment. And if somebody wants to say, well, I think it is because they got him for 3 years. There's a lot of cap certainty for the next 3 years. And at the end of that 3 years, you're getting into the 1920 season, and you're getting into that lockout territory. So contracts that go beyond the lockout, the potential lockout, are all being paid in bonuses because players want to be guaranteed their money. And other contracts are just going up until that potential lockout, and they're stopping there. Because GMs and ownership are going to want to know, okay, for our main players, we want them signed through and beyond a salary cap, or through and beyond any kind of a lockout or labor stoppage. But for everybody else, we have to do this right. We have to make sure those contracts stop at that point. I think the Leafs are being run very well. I know people say, well, it's easy to crap out and go get Austin Matthews. It's not, though. The Maple Leafs were a team that should have done a rebuild when Burke was in that position. And Burke would just keep pushing that rock down the hill and further down the hill. And now it's Lamoriello that's just said, blow it up, and we'll start fresh. They brought in the right coach first off, which looked crazy at the time because the team looked terrible. but they brought in a great coach. He instilled a work ethic in the team that hadn't been there before he got there. There's an article on the Hockey News website. I know it's recent. I don't know how recent. On the Maple Leafs instituting a 40-second shift. And that their shifts are some of the quickest in the NHL. And it's paying dividends. And that with Babcock doing the quick shifts, for a guy like Matthews or maybe for a Marner, they can be out there a little bit longer on average because they're able to do it. But for everybody else, you stick to those short shifts. If they can move this out, they can turn this into $15 million. They really don't have a cap problem, even when Nylander, Matthews, and Marner come up. They may have a hard time putting a team around them. But it's a nice problem to have. It really is. Because if this team wins a championship, wins a Stanley Cup either in 2018 or 2019, it's absolutely worth whatever issues they have going forward trying to put a team around Matthews, Nylander, Marner, and everybody else. And I'm not intentionally trying to forget anybody. It's just those are the big three forwards that everybody talks about. Oh, we got to re-sign. They got to re-sign. And I think they will. And seeing Lou's work this summer, first with Hyman, now with Connor Brown, and just with smaller contracts in general, he knows what he's doing. Last summer, when Freddie Anderson came to town, and they signed him to a longer contract, and Leafs fans were like, I don't know. And last summer I said, I like Freddie Anderson. I think it'll be good. Right now, you may find some people who say that Freddie Anderson's not a very good starter, or you may find some people who say, oh, I don't know if Toronto's got the goalie they need to win in the playoffs. But in general, most people have toned that down after 1 year in Toronto. And as long as Freddie gets rest here and there, as long as McElhinney is able to spell him, and if he's able to have a lot of energy for the playoffs, the team could go a long way. So Connor Brown signs 3 years, $6 million, $6.3 million technically for the 3 years. Great move, Toronto. Great move. And the Maple Leafs are absolutely headed in the right direction. So let me know what you guys think of the signing in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. That like button does a lot of good. The subscribe button does just as much good as the like button, and you'll feel good that you did it. So thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon. This has been The Hockey Guy.